want some whiskey and you want sugar in your tea. What's all this crazy question they're asking me? This is the craziest party that could ever be. Don't turn on the lights, cause I don't wanna see. Mama told me not to come. Mama told.
Boom, everybody. I hate saying boom like that because Casey does it so well, but it's just me and the Boo right now. Casey's traveling home from his freaking, I don't know, he travels the world, Boo. By the way, real quick, rookie mistake by Boo this morning. What happened? Why have you been sitting here?
I tried to fix the light and unplug my damn Mac, and next thing you know, I couldn't even get back in. So,
well, you're
a total shit show this morning.
It's all right. You're in though. You're in. How's your week been, man? Everything good?
I mean, I got no complaints, man. Thanksgiving, got my brother, Cool Keith Lambert, who maybe give him a shout out on this show a little bit later, and a friend of mine that I befriended in Hackensack, in New Jersey, that comes out every year. My sister-in-law. I got a bunch of people coming through. Casey's family. Eventually, like the kids come back. We play some turkey bowl. It's just easily my favorite.
How far away are your houses? You and Casey's?
Our backyards connect.
No way. Really?
Oh yeah.
That's
Through
so
a creek,
amazing.
man. It's great.
He was telling me the other day, you fry your turkeys outside? He says you're legit at it, like you're big time turkey fryer.
It is 12 years running. Matter of fact, the guy Phil that's coming out here, like when I met him, it was our first conversation, not knowing that I wanted to fry a turkey that year and he had been doing it. So like it's how it's coming together, Chinch, is beautiful. Like that was our initial conversation with this guy Phil that's coming out to see me, and he had fried some turkeys and I was like wanting to do it for the first time, but I didn't want to burn down my backyard back in Jersey. So he's like, listen, I got you. I said, please come on over. Do you have anywhere to be? And he didn't really have anywhere to be. So it just kind of manifested itself. And I've been doing it ever since. And I have to tell you, the key to frying a turkey is you cannot put anything on the outside of the turkey. You have to leave the skin and stuff because people want to butter it. They want to brine it. They want to do all this stuff. The more stuff you do to it, because you need
the Molotov cocktail, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've had a turkey come out black before. I mean, I've eaten it. It's crunchy, but it's damn good because the oil and stuff, it's great. But you basically don't really do much to that. What I do is we put a concoction together, and Phil travels the world and brings back spices. So we put it into our concoction and we inject it in the turkey. So the inside of it is extremely, extremely moist. And that's the difference of it. And it cooks in 45 minutes. 15-pound turkey, 3 minutes a pound, cooks in 45 minutes.
I know.
So my wife does a Latin turkey that is unbelievable, and I have the fried turkey. We have like anywhere between.
Explain a Latin turkey. Explain a Latin turkey. What's a Latin turkey?
It's just like this lechonetta. This
Spanish. The turkey speaks Spanish.
I got a Spanish-speaking word later on for you too. So it's all coming together, Chinch, man. This is a great episode already. Anyway, she puts this. I mean, cooks it all night, and then like you have to baste it, keep basting and pouring this like base of like this lechonetta. It's like this orange like thing that she orders and mixed with some Worcestershire. Chinch. When she made this turkey the first time, I was like, I gotta have this every single year, and then I'll do mine. And so we got tons of food, tons of good people. It's a beautiful time.
Yeah, my favorite thing we got is my grandmother, my dad's mom. They're all from Italy. My dad's Sicilian, my mom's Napolitan, and my grandmother used to make this sweet potato sausage stuffing. It was basically just like pasta. It's like a bolognese stuffing. It's like
I stick my face in that thing.
All right, so there you go. We're ready. We're ready for tomorrow. Ready for Turkey Day. But let's take a little Thanksgiving look back at the week that was. A lot of action this week. A lot.
Well, the observations for this week, Chinch, start off with that team in Big D, man, the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, again, as a fan of this team in Pittsburgh, it's not really in our blood to like the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. And when Jerry comes out and he has to have his face and everything, it's even more reason to hate them. But you have to be impressed by what you saw. And for me, it starts with the defense, Chinch. Micah Parsons is
he's a freak.
He's a freak. He's like, listen, you've seen a lot of great players. I mean, from J.J. Watt to Aaron Donald to T.J. Watt, who, by the way, made an interception this past week. He's just an incredible player. But then you look at Micah Parsons, and he kind of reminds me of Lawrence Taylor in a way.
Yeah.
Where is that division, that type of player where it's like, okay, you don't know where he's coming from. He can line up over the nose tackle. He gets to the quarterback. He game record. Dude, that game, sack, fumble, they get the ball. Next thing you know, they score. The game was never, closed for Minnesota.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody at work the other day about Parsons, and we were trying to give a comp to him, and I'm like, honestly, like LT is like the closest thing as far as like how he disrupts and everything like that.
Yes,
But like
yes.
it's almost
There is no
like,
comp. There is no
he's
comp.
almost like, to me, like the defensive version of what Randy Moss was as a wide receiver. Because like you can't put him in a category. He's just different looking, different build. Micah Parsons is like long and lean. I mean, he's huge, but he's like long and lean. He looks like he could have played, a tight end or split end like in high school or college. I bet he could catch a ball. I bet you could put him on offense and he'd do something. He's a freaking freak. Anyway, keep moving. Sorry.
Nah, he's definitely a freak. And again, with that offense, man, you got Zeke, you got Dak, you got Lamb, you got Pollard, who, I mean, I'm going to talk about him later. Like, you got Gallup, who's coming back from the knee injury looking good. You're thinking about maybe adding Odell. I mean, I wouldn't mess with anything, even though, obviously I think Odell healthy could help any team. But like the Dallas Cowboys right now, balance. They're a team that, okay, we know about the Cowboys, so I'm not going to put the cart in front of the horse. Let's just see what happens the rest of the year. But that victory, that was a stomping of Minnesota, who came off beating the Bills and probably had some mojo, and it was in their backyard and they got stomped. So
NFC East is insane right now. It's insane.
Oh, dude, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. So next one up is the Detroit Lions. Like, we talked about the Lions, and Case would love to hear this if he was here, but Mr. Dan Campbell's seat just got a little less hot. It's cooling down right now. They got 3 wins in a row, and you know what they're doing it with? They're doing it with defense, man. Aiden Hutchinson, we're talking about another guy in that mold of, we talk about Micah Parsons, we talk about Donald, we talk about Watt, those defensive guys that are just, I mean, what's this guy doing? Dropping back into coverage, taking INTs.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's freaking an athlete, dude. What a pick.
So again, with the talent that they've accumulated, it hasn't happened. I'll tell you what, that bye week they went back, they came back, they got that victory versus Chicago. It was one of those games that they usually lose. All right. Then they go out to the Giants and they smack the Giants around and they stop Barkley, and they couldn't stop the run for a while. Then you come back and you're playing, who did they beat this past week?
Giants.
Yeah. So you pretty much are stopping the run, and now you're getting some turnovers. So you're creating some short fields for your offense. And guess what, Chinch? It's a blueprint for winning games. Yeah. They've won 3 in a row. Now, it's a short week with Buffalo coming to town, so I got to, this is the real test. But hey, I mean, would you rather be on a 3-game losing streak with Buffalo coming to town? We're on a 3-game win streak. It's on Thanksgiving. This is an exciting time for the Detroit fan.
And how exciting time for the Detroit fan, and an exciting time for Jamal, man. 12
you kidding me?
touchdowns. So I went and I looked back. I was doing, with the 30-13 the other day. I went back and looked, and I'm like, this is like, it reminded me of when Marcus Allen went to Kansas City, and they just made him exclusively. He did every goal line play, and he led the league in touchdowns that year. And I was like, man, he's probably close to what Marcus Allen did. Marcus Allen led the league in rushing touchdowns that year with 12.
Wow.
This dude has 12 already, boo.
I love it.
Got 12 rushing touchdowns.
I love it.
You don't love it if you're
Jamal Williams.
You don't love it if you're a DeAndre Swift fan, though, right, dude?
Well, tell you what, I mean, I don't have any shares of Swift. I have shares of Jamal Williams, so I don't mind. But yeah, as a Swift fan, in the beginning of the year, you're thinking, man, this is going to be really, really, really good for this team. And then all of a sudden, it's like Jamal Williams. And the funny thing is, like, Swift is more of a quick hitter. Man, when you have those guys that can grind between the tackles, you're controlling the clock. You're keeping your defense on the sideline. You're keeping their offense on the sideline. There's so many things that happen well when you can get those guys that really bang through the tackles. And Jamal is more of that. And Swift is always banged up. So as an organization, they're saying, hey, Swift, we'll get you your touches. We'll get you out in space. We got this guy that's a hammer. Dude, that's football that I like. And guess what? It equates to victories in this league, always has. So great observation for the Detroit Lions. Happy for them and their fan base. And so basically the third observation I have is something that goes hand in hand with Thanksgiving and what my man Tom Terrific always says. The season starts now, boys. It's November, late November. The weather has already changed. We got teams moving from Buffalo over to Detroit to play, which is weird because they're playing there again this week and they got an advantage. So, I mean, lucky for Buffalo, it worked out for them. So they know the confines of the stadium. They know the locker room. It's great. So, but football now starts. So, like, we've seen what we've seen, and now we figure out who are the real contenders and who are the real pretenders, because now it starts getting serious. And Tom Brady was just on his show on NFL, radio. Let's Go show. And he was like, guys, I always say it, but this is where it starts. And if you think about Tampa, we talked about them sitting in first place, kind of getting healthy, had a bye week to try to figure some things out. I'm interested to see what they look like moving forward, but yeah, the season starts. I'm excited. Now, one of the biggest factors with any team is health and your quarterback play. So I'm kind of looking at those teams with their quarterback set. And obviously, the teams that are relatively healthy and or getting healthy. I mean, one of the things we didn't talk about the Lions, Williams is coming back, Williamson. And so this guy is a machine. So I wonder how that's going to, work out. So very fascinating stuff happening.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really good. All right. Well, I actually had to hit the waiver wire pretty hard this week. What do you got so far? I think I got a couple good pickups. All
right. Well, listen, we start off with the quarterbacks on waiver wires. And so the first guy I'm going to talk about is the, aforementioned Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, I scooped him up a couple weeks ago. I played him 2 weeks ago. He had 2 touchdowns, and I played him this past week. I don't even have to tell you, what I mean? He had a great week, but Jimmy G's been sitting out there because it's not sexy. And I'll tell you what about him. The thing that I like most about him is that they are a run the ball first type of team. And Christian McCaffrey happens to be the best receiving back in all of football. There's not even a question that the guy can line up a wide receiver and run wide receiver routes and be productive. So when you have that and you set up the run so well, this play action is easy, and you have throwing lanes where it's like the guy's wide open because you have to respect the run so much, what Kyle Shanahan likes to do. So Jimmy G's is in a situation right now that, Jimmy, just don't mess it up. You know what I mean? And he hasn't. The last 4 or 5 weeks, he's averaged 2 touchdowns a week. It's very, very, very quality quarterback play. And you love that. As my quarterback, because I'm always a late round quarterback guy, if you get me 2 touchdowns and 200 yards and don't hurt my football team, I'm going to win a lot of weeks because bulk of my team is with wide receivers and running backs that I'm hoping are going to really get me those points. So far, so good. I got Tom Terrific on the bench. I think he's going to be able to be playable. I got Jimmy G and Tom Terrific now. I'm in a good situation.
You're in a great situation because you built around the rest of your offense. And now you got these 2 guys who are at least serviceable. Sometimes.
And I said it in the beginning. I said it in the beginning of the year, Chinch, and I've said this to you many times. There's a quarterback on the waiver wire that will be starting for fantasy teams. So when guys reach for Kyle Murray, and not even reach, but 5th round, come on, look at those situations. It's disgusting. Matthew Stafford, all those guys that we talked about could be those guys. And then you got somebody like Jimmy G sitting on the waiver wire from the beginning of the year. You're not even starting at one point. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, he's like serviceable fantasy guy for you. It's a beautiful situation. All right. The other quarterbacks that I like, Ryan Tannehill.
Yes.
Dude, he was spinning it on Thursday night. As good as quarterback play as I've seen in this league in a game where they needed to have it. Short week on the road in Green Bay. We talked about, oh, man, I'd rather go with, Aaron Rodgers. I said it myself. Well, guess what? Ryan Tannehill said it. Baby, you know what I mean? Lambeau, all right? Settle down over there, all right? We're bringing in a tough style of course. And the way teams stack the box to try to stop, Derrick Henry and that game plan, there are one-on-one situations on the outside, and we'll get into one of our waiver wire, wide receivers here in a minute and talk more in depth about that. But Ryan Tannehill, I won a championship in my CBS league 2 or 3 years ago with Ryan Tannehill as my quarterback.
He's an underrated, he's so consistent over his career. Also, one of the guys, remember Wenke? One of those guys that came into the league late. You come in as a grown-up rather than coming in as a kid. Right. I think you can become a quarterback faster that way. Yeah, I agree.
But listen, he was a wide receiver in college. So, you got to love Ryan Tannehill's story. And he can get you a little bit of his legs. He's got legs. He came off the ankle with you, so he's not really running. So you pick him up now. You have to play him. Listen, he's a better quarterback, even a little bit better in fantasy than people give him credit for. It's like a sleeper, that guy. And the other one is Matty Ice. I hate to even mention his name again, but Saturday's brought a little bit of something to that team. They're a little bit more balanced. Taylor's back now. The running game is now being a little bit more simplified, downhill, simple run schemes. It's been successful for Taylor, so he's back in the mold. But at the same time, they put Matty Ice back on the center, and, he's been slinging it 30-something times. And Paris Campbell, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, the good rookie, Taylor with a dump pass can take it 80 yards. The reason why I mentioned Matty Ice, they play the Steelers on Monday night. Anytime you play the Steelers, Joe Burrow just put up 37 points. Yeah. Just go ahead and you can get a start stream, and I think you can be okay and survive. All right?
Like that one.
All right, moving on to the running backs. The first running back, and this is not a secret, he's out there right now on everybody's board, is Samaje Perine for the Cincinnati Bengals. Came in, again, Great receiver out of the backfield, always had a good knack for it, but a little underrated as a rusher. Cincinnati doesn't really run the ball as good as they did last year, but anytime you can get a starting running back this late in the season, plug them in and play them, you're in good shape. We don't know if Mixon's coming back from the concussion. Usually those guys, they have a full week. There's a good chance. I say 50-50, but you got to pay attention. You got to pick up Perrine now because you won't have a chance too closer to the weekend. So you pick him up now if you have the space. And if he starts for you, it's a tough matchup against Tennessee. It really is. But again, a starting running back this late in the season when you got guys like Javonte Williams and Rashad Penny and this, that, and the other down and out, you take it. You run with it. All right?
Yeah, and by the way, he loves contact. He goes right in. Every time he's running the ball, when he heads up to that linebacker, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the one that knocks him out. He hits back pretty hard, and he never gets so most times, if you notice in that game, he had a 100-yard rushing game. He almost every time it was a whistle blow with a guy standing him up rather than him being on the ground.
He's a very runner, man. Thick human being. You see that dude when he's sitting on the sideline, dude, his arms.
Oh my God.
I mean, Lambooski got some arms, but I mean, his arms are out to here, bro. Oh, by the way, he's got the beard too. He looks like he's 66 years old. Looks like Kimbo Slice, like he could fight you in the street and just beat you down. So I love me some Samaje Perine, the way the guy looks. But listen, underrated, might get himself a chance. Happy for him. And again, if you need running back help, he's there. The next guy up is a guy that we've mentioned before, but again, was in kind of a timeshare and now gets the whole landscape to himself. Latavius Murray. All right. Melvin Gordon fumbled again on the goal line. Boom. Shipped out of town. Released the next day. Chase Edmonds comes in. And I said this, and it's crazy. Chase Edmonds passes my eye test every single time I see the guy on a football field. His suddenness, his quickness, he just doesn't take it and run with it. If you can't run and take with it in Miami, which with that situation, the way that those receivers and that offense is running, and then you come over to Denver, okay, they get you in the game. He's hurt again. He's hurt. And it's a pretty significant injury. They said, I don't know how long, but it's multiple weeks. Latavius Murray, the last man standing. Like, who would have thought? Grab him if he's still out there. He's an easy plug and play. Denver's offense after the bye has gotten that much better, okay? But it's a starting running back with no type of competition. So you got to like Latavius Murray now that the reins are his, all right? Another repeat customer in the running back rankings is Jerick McKinnon. And he's still out there on some wires. So I don't know why, but listen, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was getting phased out. Oh, and then comes up with an injury. So he's done. I don't know how long. McKinnon, prior to a little bit of a dud this past week, 6 receptions in back-to-back games for 40, 50 yards. Guys, that's 10, 11 points. You're talking about it's late in the season. We've got injuries. Who can I kind of put in that flex spot that's not going to hurt me? I think you could be okay with Jerick McKinnon. I'm not saying he's a guy you got to go run out instead, but he's not a bad guy to have depth on your team with and saying, hey, you know what? His matchup this week, probably going to be, high scoring game, Kansas City most of the time. So he could do a lot worse than Jerick McKinnon, All right, moving right along to the wide receiver.
Sorry, I was just sitting there listening. I was locked in.
Yeah, no, listen, I want you to do that. You learn, listen and learn, my man. Yeah, all right, let's go. From Long Island to Pittsburgh and everything in between, all right? First wide receiver up this week is Treylon Burks. And again, he had the preseason hype. Big dude in a uniform, kind of like him. You know what I mean? You're like, man, this guy looks pretty good. And that game, on Thursday night where, okay, it's a rain, it's cold, it's in Green Bay, you're not expecting a lot. Guy goes over 100 yards for the first time. He has the 50-yarder at the end of the game to pretty much ice the game. I like the way Tennessee is coming together. That's another team, November, December football, you got to love. And he's getting the ball thrown to him. He's healthy now. He's had his time as a rookie to kind of get his feet underneath him. You get injured, that sucks, but it allows you to get on the sideline, get in the film room, understand your craft, and you come back in your first couple games out of that, you look really good. Yeah, a lot to like about Treylon Burks going forward. And again, we talked about the same thing with Ryan Tannehill. Teams just focus on Derrick Henry, as they should. He goes for 200, you focus on him, it's only 120, you know what I mean, and 2 touchdowns. So it's tried and true. And now you're getting one-on-ones on the outside. Treylon Burks, take advantage of it, man. You're a grown-ass man. You're a big dude. One-on-ones, Derek is going to do his thing. You got to love Treylon Burks moving forward. So, I'm going to try to get some shares of him. The next man up is Darius Slayton. Doesn't it just feel like my man Darius Slayton is just a disrespected, forgotten man in New York all the time, every year? Let's get Wendell Robinson. Let's go get Darius Toney. Let's go get James. Let's throw the ball to Bellinger. All these guys come around and go and get hurt and can't stay on the field. And Darius Slayton's sitting there saying, guys, I play football in this game. You know what I mean? Chin's got to do some stuff. I mean, we'll roll together. It's a solo act. You know what I mean? I'm cool with that. You know? So, like I said, Darius Slayton, people, go out and get Darius Slayton. You could do a lot worse. All right. He is the de facto #1 wide receiver on the Giants now because they don't have anybody else. I actually feel bad for them. You know, they're a good team. It's a good story this year, the G-Men. I don't like the way things are looking. It's a copycat league. Detroit came out and stopped Saquon Barkley. Obviously, at this point, if you stop Saquon Barkley, you got a chance to beat the Giants. I don't care how many times Danny Dimes can run it, but, you know, they don't have any wide receivers. So it's Darius Slayton by default. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're in this together right now. The last guy up in the wide receiver section is Sky Moore. My man Sky Moore down in Kansas City. All right. You got Kadarius Toney hurt. You got Mecole Hardman on IR for the next 3 to 4 weeks. You know, when you got guys on RI and guys can't stay on the field, somebody's got to get out there and catch balls. We know in Kansas City, you can take, you know, the guy in the first row of the stands, and he probably get you 3 receptions for 60 yards. All right. I'd love to play for that offense. But Sky Moore's there. Another rookie that now it's the second half of the season, got his feet underneath him, starting to be acclimated with the offense, you know, looked good catching the ball last week, you know. So again, when you look at the situation with all the banged up wide receivers in Kansas City, you always want to share with somebody in Kansas City's offense. So Sky Moore is a guy that kind of looks good, has fresh legs, and is ready to do some damage here in the second half. You could do a lot worse, pick him up. All right. All right. Moving along to the tight end position, Chinch, let's go. This guy gets no respect, and it's time to put some respect on his name. I'm talking about you. I'm looking at you, Juwan Johnson. You just want to get Tyreek, you know, not Tyreek Hill, Tyson Hill, and you want to talk about Troutman and all these other guys. Juwan Johnson has 5 touchdowns in the last 5 weeks of playing football in the NFL. Talking about Cool Keith Lambert, okay, the originator, all right, my brother from another mother, well, actually my brother from the same mother. He actually got me into fantasy football 30 years ago, and our original name, Chinch, you know, was Prediction Pain. You want to know why?
Why?
We loved Rocky 3 and Clubber Lang. It was our favorite.
Yes.
Lambo stupid. He's killing me. He comes straight ahead, you know. So we used to love that show. And so they asked Clubber Lang, they asked Mr. T in the locker room, Clubber, what's your prediction for the fight? My prediction? Pain. And so our name is Prediction Pain, and I got a big picture of Clubber Lang. That's been running for 30 years, bro. So anyway, shout out there. But Juwan Johnson, he just gets the job done. Dalton loves the tight end. I told you the Dalton experiment was over. Then he goes out and throws for touchdowns, and he's back in the mix. I don't know. You know what? You can't get New Orleans. But Juwan Johnson is definitely a tight end that you can look at and not even think about it anymore. Plug him and play him at that position. You could do a lot worse. All right. Next guy up is Logan Thomas. I think the only thing stopping Logan Thomas, and I think we all know this, was just injuries. The guy cannot stay on the field. And so when he's on the field, he's relatively productive. And you can tell since his latest injury, every week he's gotten a little bit more involved. Every week he's caught a couple more passes. This past week, I think it was 5 catches for 60 yards, okay? You know, and so, I mean, 5 passes for 65 yards, that's 11 points. Tight end, get me that, and I'm going to be fine. So you can scoop him up, and he might be playable coming down the pipe here, all right? Defense is defense. Staying with that same team, okay, the Washington Commanders, 2 weeks in a row, gentlemen, returns for touchdowns. Fantasy gold when you can take a defense and you get returns for touchdowns. Oh, I want to add this. Mr. Chase Young is back off IR. You're going to add him to that team and that interior, okay, 2 of the best interior defensive linemen in the game. Guess what? Fuller taking it to the house on the back end. Watch out for the Washington Commanders. You talk about that NFC East, bro. You do not want to sleep on that team. Rivera in the locker room the other day after that victory, very emotional. Guys had cancer. Those are things that affect the locker room and bolt you to the top of where you need to go. They're going to be a tough out for teams. Tyler Heineke's got a little bit of that it factor. You watch him, you're like, man, this guy doesn't belong in the NFL. Oh, he's winning. He's making plays. He kills you. It's last-second touchdowns. I digress. We're talking about.
I like that term. He's got it.
Let me get back on there. So the Washington Commanders with Chase Young coming back. Chase is hungry. Dude, that guy's a game wrecker. You know, let's see what happens. Remember that defense a couple of years ago? That defense was really, really tough a couple of years ago. They're kind of rounding into that form. Another defense I like, and we always look at teams coming off a bye. I told you about Jets last week, did I not? Chinch? Said you picked them up? They got you a few points. 6 sacks last week. So this week, the same combination is the Miami Dolphins. They're playing Houston. They're off a bye, and it's Houston. They're thinking about making a quarterback change to somebody that, come on, those situations, that's what you look for when you're streaming defenses. All right, And that's it, baby, for the waiver
All right,
wire.
that's it. Okay. Thanksgiving coming up. We're all thankful for something. You know what I'm thankful for.
Forget about
Forget
it.
about it.
Chicks, let's go. How about Case trying to get in on that, in the
Turkey
last
Day
couple of weeks?
edition.
We got to clean him up, all right? All right, so let's go, baby. This is our segment that we love, all right? So let's jump right in. Man, Chinch, there was some bad fantasy weeks this past week. I mean, some bagels out there, bro. I mean, some low scoring and some fat everything, sesame seed bagels out there. So, man, let's jump right into one of them, okay? And there's many reasons for these bagels. I mean, again, injuries play a part of it. But again, I don't care how you got to that bad performance. If you can't stay on the field, you're killing me as a fantasy man. So you might just forget about it, all right? So first guy up in this segment right here is none other than Mr. Kadarius Toney. Kadarius, you had a beautiful week the week before. You're the talk of Kansas City. You came over, first round pick for the Giants. I'm the man. I got this, I got that. You're in Andy Reid's offense. He got you open 24 yards, the widest open person in the league. Well, guess what? In a showdown versus your new division rival, the Chargers, this is what you did, Kadarius, okay? This is what you did for me. You got one target, no catches, and a hammy strain. That's a big fat everything bagel. Forget about it, Chinch. Chinch, you got to forget about it. You got to move on, all right? Kadarius, there'll be better weeks. I'm not sure when, but this week we're going to forget about it. All right, next up. This week is none other than, I'm looking at you, Mr. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, you're playing the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, man, it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Kirk is throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson. He's making one-hand catches behind his back, okay? Pull the blood out of his arse. You are set up for success, Kirk. This is a big game. You guys are 8-1. You're coming off the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk, you didn't get the memo. Look at this, Kirk. 12 of 23 for 105 yards, no touchdowns. Oh, wait, he got sacked 7 times and lost a fumble. Wah, wah. Forget about it. Chinch, just forget about it, Chinch. It hurts. I don't know if you can trust Kirk week to week. He's a frustrating guy in fantasy, but this week, you better forget about it. Luckily, he got the Thursday night game coming up on a short week, so he can just, move on. All right. All right. The last guy up on this league in this segment really could have hurt me. But since we talked about it earlier, when you go into Monday night with 197 points, okay, because you got Tony Pollard, because you got Derrick Henry, because you got Travis Kelce, you don't have to worry about Rondale Moore. But Rondale Moore, if I did need you and you gave me this performance, I'd be pretty upset. Check this out. The last couple of weeks, 10 targets, 9 receptions, 7 receptions. It was looking really good for Rondale Moore. But this week, my friend, this is what you did for me. You gave me one jet sweep, -6 yards, and a groin strain. He got out. Forget about it, Chinch. You got to forget about it. Bo, if they gave negative points, which in some leagues they do, mind you know, he would have had negative points because you go to reception to get you that 1 point and then the -6 for the carry. He got 1 carry, -6 yards to the house. Dude, I was sitting there like, thank the good Lord that I have already had this game in the bag, because there is nothing worse than going out on a Monday night, needing a guy and watching him limp or knowing he got hurt when he came up and saying, oh, he's going to be done for the game. And sure enough, he was. Forget about it. All right, guys, listen, moving along from those duds now to our studs, baby. And we mentioned this guy, but I can't help but say it again, Mr. Tony Pollard. Oh, Tony, Zeke's back. He's supposed to eat into your production. You know what? There's enough room indeed for everybody, because you know what, Tony Pollard, this is what you did, my man, okay? This is what you did. You had 15 rushes for 80 yards. Oh, it's a pretty good day. How about 6 receptions, 109 yards, and 2 touchdowns? Forget about it, Tony. Let's go, baby. I need you. That's how you score 197 points, Chinch, okay? Tony don't care. Let me tell you something right now. When you look at the Cowboys and you look at Tony Pollard, you're like, man, what's up with this guy? Long, strong. He gets you tough yards in the tackles. And then all of a sudden, he's catching the ball on the run over his shoulder, taking it 60 yards to the house. Forget about it. Come on. Off to the next one, all right? The next guy up is a guy that was on the other end of this segment last week saying he disappears a lot, but he went to Mexico City, and I'm looking at you, Mr. Georgie Kittle. All right, Georgie's beloved down there in Mexico. He loves it down there. Dude, he's got the Spanish wrestler coming over on the side. He puts the thing on. He's doing this. He's beloved with the fans. Well, guess what? You know what you did this week for me? You said, Lamboo, forget last week. We're in Mexico City, okay? Here we go. 4 catches, 84 yards, not one, but 2 touchdowns in the rainy Mexico. Forget about it, Georgie Porgy. You put it in the pie. I love you. Listen.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Listen, you gotta love George Kittle. Okay. And I got a little something for you because we're in Mexico City. Okay, we got Ovidalo, baby, Ovidalo. Forget about it in Espanol. Let's go. I don't even know if I pronounced that right, Chicks, but who cares? All right. The last guy up in this segment is none other than Mr. Jimmy G. Why do I mention Jimmy G? I'll tell you why I mention Jimmy G. Because when you go 20 of 29 for 228 yards and 4 touchdowns, and I have to start you, and it's a Monday night, and it's in Mexico City, and you blast out 30-something points for your fantasy heroes, you can forget about it, Jimmy G, okay? You're not only handsome, check this out. Jimmy was at the Warriors game, Golden State Warriors game. He was sitting with CMC, he was sitting with George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk. And all the dancers came over and were googly-goggly over Jimmy. They didn't even say anything to CMC. So look at Jimmy G looking like a young Justin Lambert. Forget about it, baby. Let's go. That's it for this week, brother.
Dude, that's amazing. You got my dog barking all excited.
He should. He gets it. Your dog gets it.
Dude,
our fans better get it.
You nailed it. I gotta get this dog before my wife wakes up. Boo. You have a freaking amazing Thanksgiving, bro. Say hi to you.
Brother.
All right.
You too, brother. I love you, man. Take care, buddy.
See you, everybody.
Sugar in your tea. What's all this crazy question they're asking me? This is the craziest party that could ever be. Don't turn on the lights, cause I don't want